All right, and hello again to YouTube. What's up? What's good? What's cracking? My name is Crackin Atkins, coming at you all today with a Guilty Gear Strive video. I know it's been a while, but I do have some stuff to talk about. Have still been playing the game off and on more recently. I've actually been diving into a little bit of Blaze Blue Cross Tag Battle as of late. I've just had the itch. That game is a drug, and I can't get away from it no matter how hard I try. But anyways, there was a developer's backyard from Arxis that dropped in relation to Guilty Gear Strive, where they went over a few things. You know, they covered a lot of kind of aspects of Gold Lewis and doing a Q&A section and things of that sort. But one main thing that they mentioned is that, I mean, the thing that's probably on a lot of people's minds is the balance patches. So they have two patches that are planned. One that's going to be happening in August and one that's going to be happening a little later. So in these patches, they mentioned that the first update, they're looking to buff lacking characters and improving lackluster moves alongside some other minor adjustments, whereas in the second update they want to do overall adjustments and kind of improve the fun of the game, which, you know, sounds good. You know, it's going to be kind of interesting to see which way they go about it, what they adjust, which characters they adjust and everything. But I just kind of wanted to give my 2 cents about some changes that I would like to see in these patches. As a precursor to this video, I just want to give some context as the type of changes I'm going to suggest, because this isn't going to be specific character changes. You know, I'm not really going to give any ideas of like a tier list. I want this specific move changed on this character. Like, none of that. You know, I want to kind of more dive into the scope of mechanics rather than the scope of individual character changes, and give more of a sense of things that I would like to see for the sake of quality of life rather than balance. With that, however, you know, each of these changes would and could definitely alter the strength of characters, whether it be like directly or indirectly, but there's still overall changes that I would like to see in the game that I think would improve the quality of the game, and as they say, you know, the fun of the game, just making it a more fun to play experience. So yeah, without further ado, let's kind of just jump into the changes. Okay, so the first change that I want to address, and May players don't hate me, is Stagger State. So Stagger State, you know, sometimes it triggers off of a variety of moves. Typically it's on counter hit. You know, you'll see the button kind of flash above the opponent's head, and you can mash out to recover quicker, to go back into a neutral state and be able to act. But while you're in that stagger state, you can't do anything, right? So essentially you're trying to mash out the hit so you take less damage and not have to eat like a bigger combo off of getting like counter hit or opened up. There's a lot of different moves that kind of cause this state. But currently, and I'm just going to explain this fully because I still come across players to this day that don't know this about Stagger State, and it's very interesting and kind of dumb. So let's just go to the settings that I have on the opponent right now, Leo. So I have basically I have a forced counter hit so that we're going to get the Stagger State off with this Flash Dolphin. I have throw tech enabled, right? So Leo is going to throw tech no matter what, and I have the stagger recovery set to the fastest, which meaning that the computer is going to mash out as fast as possible, right? So I just want to demonstrate a few things here, right? So proof of concept, right? Leo is throwing, and so, you know, off of slash dolphin counter hit, right? There's a couple of things that you can go for, but if the opponent is mashing out as fast as possible, you kind of have to limit what you go for, because you're not as plus as you typically be if the opponent wasn't mashing out. So it may require maybe something like that. If you go from like a 5k to a 3k, depending on spacing, maybe you'll just go into a 3k, or I don't know, maybe you're the type that just wants to do double dolphin. That might not work. You know, it just depends on what you're going for. But the really interesting thing, and like, I don't know if it's intentional, I think it's a bug, but either way I would like for it to change, is that in Stagger State, as we said, you know, they're recovering as fast as possible, but you're in a state to where after you have recovered, like you see Leo was already like in like a type of like blocking animation. Like he can block. If I had like done Dolphin instead, he would have blocked. He's not able to throw tech. That throw is guaranteed. Just like that, the throw is guaranteed. I mean, keep in mind, I have Leo set to throw tech as soon as they're able to. It's a bit odd because in terms of May, it gives her like the most amount of damage she could possibly get meterless off of a slash dolphin, and it gives a knockdown, which is a little wild. I would instead prefer they just add a throw tech window after you have recovered as fast as possible so that throw isn't guaranteed, and I think that would be perfectly fine. In fact, it would create a little bit more of a mind game for the Mei player. And I mean, this is also a mind game that comes into play for other characters. Pretty much anyone that has a stagger state can or should have the option to inflict this mind game. Eno, I think, doesn't, even though she has some stagger state stuff, not because she doesn't have a dash. But anyways, like basically whenever you're in the stagger state, this is something that could be a factor if your opponent is close enough to go for a throw. But just speaking from the context of Mei specifically, because it's the character that I know the most, you know, if there was, you know, if this wasn't guaranteed, right, and there was like a strike throw situation here instead, it could be really interesting for Mei, right? You may get the stagger state and then you run up and you go for a frame trap. You know, you have like a strike throw mix, you know, rather than just getting a guaranteed throw right off the bat. So I think it's a good quality of life change. It makes the defender feel less helpless, because let me tell you, I've been hit by this and I hit people like with this, and this is one of the most like helpless positions ever when you get like counted when flashed off, because you gotta take the throw, and that's like assuming like we have like the optimal case scenario here where like the computer is mashing out as fast as possible. So like from back here, right, I won't get the guaranteed throw, but most people, like, you know, this may be some people's like first guilty gear. They're not really looking for stagger recovery like that, so most people just don't even try to tech at all, which is giving Mei so much freedom to just like rob people. You get like a slash dolphin and like boom, like you just run up and get a guaranteed throw no matter how far the dolphin is. So I would just remove that entirely, have the defender be a little bit more interactive, especially rewarding them if they are mashing as fast as possible. You know, just give Mei a strike throw mix, which would honestly still be really good, but just give the defender more actions to make it not have them eat a guaranteed throw. All right, so this next change I would like to see is a bit more nuanced. It's not going to apply to the entire cast, and that's because this is in regards to charge characters only. Again, I apologize for a bit of the linear way that I'm showing these changes off, because these are things that I experienced while playing Mei. But from talking to other players that play charge characters, I know that this is a thing that happens to everybody, and it's really annoying. And it has to do with the charge input buffer system. So I covered this briefly in like my dash and Roman cancel macro video of how like charge inputs vaguely work in this game. But basically you get your charge super fast, and even after you get your charge, it's held for a certain amount of time, in which that like you can delay when you cancel into your charge special move. Like the input is stored for a long amount of time, which, I mean, it's a catch-22, because on the positive end, it does give the player a little bit more leniency with their inputs. You know, you don't have to be as sharp going straight back to straight forward at all times to make sure that you're going to get your charge move. On the other hand, it can be extremely frustrating if you are like if you have a back charge, right, and you're trying to do an advancing button, and you accidentally get your charge move instead. And in a lot of cases, it could be a really pivotal type of thing. I think the most common and frustrating situation where this comes up is when you're trying to get a punish, right? And like get a punish on like a DP or get a punish on like a burst, right? So I currently have Soul set to do DP on pretty much reversal on everything, right? But let's just set up a hypothetical situation. Like, let's say that I throw Soul, right? And then I'm here, I'm holding back on wake up just because, like, you know, I'm blocking. I'm not committing to anything, and he doesn't wake up DP.
Out of the way!
Right? So, like, that happens all the time. Essentially, what I tried to do there is that I was holding down back, I blocked the DP, and I tried to dash forward and get a stand slash, and instead I got a slash Totsugeki, right? Which, I mean, like a slash Totsugeki on counter hit, we've covered this all like just now with like you can get a throw that's going to lead into 108 damage, but I'm punishing Soul. I don't want 108 damage here. What I'm actually supposed to be getting is like, I don't know, like, depending on the situation, upwards to like 200 damage, right? It's a huge difference, and it's like, it's just super frustrating when you're in the moment and like you have your back charge and you're trying to run up and like get, I mean, it just literally happened right there. You're trying to run up and just get a Mirified S, and then you get a Dolphin instead, or in any other cases, you know, if you're Leo, you get your Fireball instead, or just like, it's super frustrating. I think what I would like to see instead is just like just straight up don't have the input store for that long, I guess. Like, and it's like I said, the catch-22, because it does make for the dash tech off of the macro to get like advancing dolphins and things like that, it would reduce the usability of that a bit. But I'm very okay with that going away if it means that my punishes are going to be a bit more consistent and it's going to be a bit less like just annoying having a back charge and trying to do a run up button and getting my charge move rather than my normal that I want for, like I said, usually it's for a punish. I want my damage. All right, so this next change that I would like to see, maybe able to guess the territory that I'm going to get into based off the characters that you see on screen right now, but this has to do with our good friend and good mechanic, the guard crush state. The guard crush state. So not every character has this, but I hate this mechanic. And like I had trouble kind of putting into words why I hate this mechanic until Lord Knight made their video. They actually made a video kind of covering their gripes with the guard state and why they don't like it, and I highly recommend watching that video. I don't really want to rehash most of it, but just to kind of give a summary and like a blanket statement of essentially the negative feeling about dealing with guard state is that it is so oppressive. It's like a ridiculously oppressive thing to deal with, and once you're in the state, you don't really have a lot of options out of it. Like, you have to hold the pressure that like ends up coming as a result of blocking it, and it's just like a ridiculously advantageous situation for the person on the offense to be in, whereas the person on the defense really has to kind of guess for their life. So with Potemkin, you know, this is off of the infamous Garuda impact, which is just a terrifying situation to be in the guard crush state while fighting a grappler. Something that Lord Knight did not mention in their video is something funky that happens as a result of guard crush that I'm going to try my best to kind of show off here using Leo, because I think it's most commonly done with Leo. Let me just struggle to actually set this up because I don't play Leo, but I'll do my best. Okay, so one of the most common things about Leo is you're going to expect to have to block back turn mix-ups, right? Off the back turn, he has like overheads and lows and all that good stuff, right? And so what I have set up here, I have the opponent set up to guard only the first hit. So I'm going to try my best to show two different situations to where Leo makes the opponent block something, gets a low starter, and then goes into a super for a wall break. So here's the first situation. Keep an eye on the damage. So there's the first situation. I'm in back turn, you block the move, you got opened up low. 175 and a wall break on Potemkin, not bad. All right, now let's go into the next situation, which admittedly is a bit tougher to set up, but I was able to get it. Let me see if I can recreate it. Over half health dealt against Potemkin from the same exact low starter. It's the same exact situation where you blocked a move and you got opened up low instantly into a super into a wall break, and it does significantly more damage. The reasoning behind this, like the technical reasoning, I don't know. It has something to do with the blue beat combo, because if you notice on the combo counter when you go into the low off of the guard crush state, it's a blue beat, and I think that affects the scaling to where it scales less after you get opened up. But what that's creating is off of the guard press situation is essentially a 50-50 that has higher stakes. But like, it's already, you already blocked the guard press, you're already minus a lot as a defender, and the person that's on the offense is plus a lot. Like, you already have to take whatever is coming at you, but now it's with the added risk of like, if what's coming at you makes contact, you can take more damage. You can like just die. Keep in mind, I set this up on Potemkin, and that situation did more than half his health. Potemkin has like the highest health in the game, so if you like don't play Potemkin, imagine how much, go lab out how much damage you're taking in that situation. It's nuts. So like, I don't really know what I want done to guard crush altogether. I know I don't really like the mechanic, but if there is one thing that I would like to not be a factor is after blocking it, don't have it go into blue beat scaling and have the risk reward be even more skewed. I want that at least, just like off of taking a guard crush if you're opened up. Don't let it go into blue beat scaling. That's it. Just figure everything else out, but not that, please. Okay, so this fourth change that I would like to cover is a bit controversial. And all things considered, I don't know if I actually want this yet, because implementing this change could change the meta and how the game is played to a very high degree, and the game may already be on that track to change in this way. Players just need to get better at it. If you can't tell what I'm talking about yet, it's going to be in regards to Just Defend, right? So basically the way Just Defend works in this game, whether you're in FD or if you're not in Faultless Defense, or you're not in Faultless Defense, or you're just regular guarding, there's a 2-frame window to where if you execute a block in a just manner, you know, pretty much within that 2-frame window of when the attack is making contact with you, you're put into this state where basically a lot of things happen. Depending on the type of Just Defend that you're getting, the opponent will be like closer to you, which has a ton of implications. It could mean that a opponent that was supposed to be advantageous will be less advantageous or not advantageous. It could make moves that would previously be safe unsafe, and it's just a cool mechanic altogether. The thing is that in today's landscape of competitive play, I can say personally, I have been in situations where I am just defending on purpose to influence situations, but it's very hard. And like, I can say that opponents that I've fought, you know, in the tournament state and things like that, there have been maybe some situations where seemingly it looks like they may be going for a just defend, but really it's just like, with it being a 2-frame window, it's something that is so narrow, you know, it's something that like a lot of players aren't really like playing around to its best potential yet. Maybe some are, you know, maybe in the highest echelon, you know, some people are really able to execute the just defend and really influence matchups in that way. I know in the Soul matchup, there's like a lot of implications of how hard that matchup can be if you have a just defend. But I'm currently, as it stands now, I'm not opposed to increasing the just defend leniency by a single frame. No more than that. I think 3 would be more appealing to players to kind of play around the just defend mind game a bit more. And like I said, it's something that kind of changes up matches a lot, like Mei, for example, right? Now, as a kind of preface here, I don't think that Totsugeki is the main strong factor of Mei, but it is a factor of Mei, and it can be quite oppressive. But the thing with just defending is, right, Mei's slash Dolphin is typically -5 on block, if I'm not mistaken. With just defend, you can ensure punishes on Totsugeki if you're able to do it properly with some characters, which is cool. Like, I mean, I play Mei, and I would like for that to be more of a factor within a match. If like an opponent's able to execute a well-timed guard on their just defend and they have their punishes ready and they punish them for doing a slash Totsugeki on block, that's going to influence the matchup a lot. Now, granted, we don't want that window to be too open and just defend to be too easy, because then like every slash Totsugeki I do is going to be punished. I don't know about that, but like, if you have the execution to get the just defend off and punish me accordingly, I think that's cool. I think that's something that should be welcome within the game and possibly a little bit easier to execute. Again, I'm not final on that change. I'm very iffy on it, because with it being a 2-frame window at the moment, who knows, maybe as the game evolves, you know, players just get better at it with the 2-frame window as it is now, and just defend becomes a little bit more prevalent when you get to higher and higher echelons of play. But I'm not opposed to trying out a 3-frame window to see what happens. Unfortunately, we're not in a beta period anymore to where we can just kind of like play around with it and say like, yeah, final version, we tested in the beta, we're gonna go with this all along. You know, the game is out now. But if I saw in the patch notes that they increased it by a frame, I would honestly be a little bit more inclined to go for it in matches a little bit more consistently, rather at the rare frequency that I do now. And the final change I would like to see to Guilty Gear Strive is actually something that's already been mentioned in the developer's note, but I just want to double down and mention it again. It's damage. So the thing about Guilty Gear Strive is, like, naturally, I think it's supposed to be like a high damage game, right? This is a game where they want people to do big damage off of their hits, especially off of like counter hits, and they want you to think about your risk reward for burst and how you avoid those situations that could be kind of adding up in the long run. And I think that's fine, you know, if they want like a big damage type of game, I don't think that's too much of a problem at all. However, for some, and like I said, I'm trying to keep this video as like macro as possible, not micro in regards to like specific characters. But I think at this point, damage disparity is a thing. Like some characters do way more damage than others, and I think just as the game has gone on and people have started to learn more about the system, more about the characters, get more comfortable with situations and such, just the damage reward that you get off of some interactions is just a little nuts and needs to be toned down a bit. Like TODs being in the game off of like, you know, the meme is like, now do this combo on anyone other than Chip. I mean, we have like multiple TODs in the game that like don't have to be done on Chip, and these situations happen in real matches where it's like, it's not like a situation where you got high risk. It's not a situation where like you did something wrong per se to justify taking that much damage. It could just be like a situation where you just like, you got counter hit and like you don't have a burst and your opponent has like 50 meter or like 75 meter and they like build up more meter throughout their combo and just like boom, you're dead. And it's just like, I don't know. I think initially when it came to the damage, it was off of situations where I was more inclined to say, okay, this is situational. It like may not happen in like as frequent of matches that I would think, you know, maybe a once in a lifetime scenario this would happen. But just through playing the game more and seeing how the game is playing and seeing the development of some characters that I won't name, I think damage can be scaled down a bit. More so one point, of course, I said this video is going to revolve around Mei the most because I know about Mei the most. She has a TOD in like some certain instances, and like when I was first exposed to it, like during the initial week of the game, I was just like, I don't know if I'll ever land this. And I was wrong. Let me just show off the combo right now. Oh man. Combo got hands. That took me a minute. Although that combo took me some time to do because of course I'm gonna get camera shy, I guess. That is a real combo that I have landed in a comfortable amount of times, or at least just gotten the starter of it in a comfortable amount of times in real matches. Like I mean the combo is literally a TOD, but even in situations where you just like, you know, don't have 100 meter or anything like that, the combo still does just like a ton of damage, and it's off of a situation that like, it's all of a situation of block sharing or frame trap that probably happens in literally every main match. This is just like, that's one of our go-to pressure strings, you know, the close 5/ into the 2H. It has a gap, you know, people try to mash out of it if they're expecting like, I don't know, any type of frame trap situation, or maybe they're trying to like get you from not doing a heavy dolphin, or maybe they're trying to jump out. Like this hits. This hits all the time. And like, even like I said, even in like situations where it's not an extreme where you're gonna get TOD'd, you still may be eating upwards of like more than 75%, pretty much 80 health for getting counter hit by Mei. Of course, this is going to be influenced by a ton of factors such as risk gauge, how much health you have to begin with, and things of that sort. But I think it kind of goes without saying that I wouldn't mind some damage tweaking, especially just the issue is like, damage is super high for very common situations. Situational things that happen that like you set up for in niche and aren't going to happen in every single match doing a ton of damage. It is what it is, especially if it's going to be off of situations where you're hitting your opponent, they don't have a burst, they have to hold it. You're baiting that one thing and you're going to get, you know, rewarded with what you got. But just off of just like my go-to frame trap in the corner, just killing people because I have 50 meters, that's nuts. But just my opinion there. And when it comes to damage, I think in terms of how they attack it is gonna have to be fine-tuned on a character per character basis. Sometimes it might be a scaling issue, sometimes just may be a base damage issue, proration, things of that sort. There's a lot to account for, but the thing I can say in my opinion as it stands right now is that the damage is too high. And listen, I know this is a bit misleading. What I'm about to go through now actually goes against everything that I just said, but I don't care. I have to nitpick on some characters specifically, and something that I really don't like about this game. It's gonna be in regards to reversals. So I think just like all in all, some reversals can be very tough to punish for one reason or another. Like Soul's DP, for example, just happens to recover extremely fast, and in a lot of situations it could be kind of tough to punish. But like, going beyond that, there's this specific thing that that happens when you block certain reversals in the air. So I have Ram with all jumping, you do a DP, like Kai is in like a punishable state, but the pushback is so far for Ram, she's never actually going to be able to punish him. And so I don't like that. I would hope that like there are changes to DPs where if they are air blocked, it just doesn't send you flying. I guess the counter measure to that is currently in its current state would be like just guard, like, because I mean, like, if you just guard, right, the opponent's left closer and you could totally get a punish. But like it's gonna have to be a choose one situation, or maybe in my opinion this may be a little bit too preemptive, but I don't mind if you choose both, of like either make just guard a little bit more lenient, so when we're in those situations and air blocking reversals, like we can guarantee that we're gonna get a punish, or just make it to where reversals on block aren't pushing people like nearly all the way across the screen. I'm using Kai's DP as an example for now, but if we want to get into the real meme territory, we need to use this girl right here. Look at him! Where is he going? Like, I'm not a fan of that ideology. If you're doing a reversal and you're doing something that has invul, especially if you're spinning meter on it and it's blocked, I think you should get punished. And like, I don't think that it should be tied to a mechanic of Justifin, especially how hard it is to do Justifin in its current state. I don't think it needs to be tied to that in order to guarantee your punish. I think it should just be a punish, but that's just me. And I'm sorry, I'm picking on specific characters with this and not being as macro as I hoped, but it came to my mind and I had to mention it in this video. It had to be done. But that's about it when it comes to the 5, or I guess 6, 5 with a bonus Guilty Gear Strive changes I would like to see in these next upcoming patches. Based off of, like I said, the pretext they're giving about their goals for these patches, I think we're in good hands. Like, I'm not too worried about what will happen. I think there is a chance that some of these changes that I've mentioned do come to light, specifically the throw tech window for the stagger state. I honestly just think that's a bug. Like, there's just something that did not come in mind, or just something that didn't really appear through testing and things like that, and they just weren't aware, because I don't think that's really been an aspect of any past Guilty Gear, and it just functionally doesn't make much sense. But you know, if all of these changes were accepted, fine. If not, fine. These are more quality of life things, but if they were accepted, it would make for a more enjoyable Guilty Gear Strive experience, in my opinion, because this video is completely subjective. Let me know what you guys think, if you agree or disagree with any of my points, if you think I'm a whiny baby, whatever it is. And yeah, hopefully more Guilty Gear Strive videos coming down the pipeline here, or just more videos in general. I started a podcast. The first 2 episodes should be out by now at the time that you're listening to this, so hey, give those a listen if you want to maybe dive a little bit deeper, learn a little bit more about me and some of my guests that I'll have from time to time. But yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.